if I can like change your beliefs with a song, your perception of reality, like that's powerful. And like, it's so cool. Like it makes me super excited, you know, to know that like, it's it. Like your subjective reality is reality. Energy is transferred through the air, like it vibrates our ear, but our bodies can also receive vibration and interpret it in a similar way to sound. And since our bodies are like 70% water, like we receive this vibration. If you've ever seen something like cymatics, where the different frequencies shift the patterns of the molecules and all that, like it's truly shifting the state of your body in real time based on the frequencies. You're wearing headphones, and it's like, how exactly is this vibration in my headphones doing anything right here?
Just trapped up here in this kind of space,
like, it's
with this
just
one
it's
interpretation.
Not powerful enough. Like, sure, on like a cerebral mental level, you know, it can have an effect, but like on a physical level, like from a physics-based approach, like there's no actual vibration in this chakra.
All right, welcome to the Ascension Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Drake, and I have an incredible guest today, Mr. Dave McCusker, the biohacker, genius, mad scientist behind Zenthesia and so many other things. Brother, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, great to have you here. This is awesome.
Absolutely, bro. So we actually set up a lounge for Zenthesia, which are these incredible vibroacoustic sound tables that we're sitting on right now. I just went for a cruise and it was absolutely incredible. So we set up a whole Zenthesia lounge over at the High Vibe Festival. Drove all the way up from Austin and built this incredible sanctuary, really. Would you like to tell everybody a little bit about what it is that we're up to?
Yeah. So, I mean, just like High Vibe in particular, what an adventure, and super grateful that you were a part of that. It was awesome. It was magical, really. And what I'm doing, what I'm about, what these are, they're vibroacoustic sound therapy beds. They're tactile sound, is another word for it. Sound ultimately is vibration, and you know, you can have vibration go through the air, or you can have vibration go through physical objects, and water, for example. Just like whales communicate underwater, like any physical substance, vibrations move through it. Energy is transferred through the air, like it vibrates our ear, but our bodies can also receive vibration and interpret it in a similar way to sound. So what these beds are doing is taking music and taking the vibration of that music and transferring it as a physical vibration. And we have these things called mechanoreceptors in our skin. Mechanoreceptors. Hopefully I'm not butchering that.
I was thinking Terrence McKenna. We have Terrence McKenna's receptors.
That's a whole other rabbit hole. But so anywho, yeah, like we can feel sound. We can feel sound. If you've ever stood in front of a subwoofer, like you can feel the bass. I mean, a massage gun is sound, really. So a particular frequency is vibration. You can hear it vibrating. You can feel it vibrating. So it's like, it's the same thing. So, you know, there's a lot of magic in feeling sound, and music especially. Like we all know how music can shift our consciousness. You know, listen to a happy song, listen to a sad song, listen to something like sound healing. Like there's an effect it has within you just interpreting it through your ears, but it also has an effect within your cells of your body. So these devices are just very powerful tools to have music not just be a cerebral heard experience, but really a truly felt, embodied experience. And since our bodies are like 70% water, like we receive this vibration. If you've ever seen something like cymatics, where the different frequencies shift the patterns of the molecules and all of that. Like it's truly shifting the state of your body in real time based on the frequencies. And what I found with this is that it's awe-inspiring in many ways. It can lead to deeply relaxing as well as like transcendent experiences if you really truly drop in and like meditate with it, because like what better way to get into your body than to really feel your entire body in sync with frequency.
And there's that original frequency, our heart. It's constantly emanating. And so really coalescing all the energy of music and that, the incredible vibrations. The way that I would describe the feeling of being on one of these bass ships, as we fondly refer to them, is everything in the body is coming into alignment. Like I can feel the cells, because it's such powerful and potent frequency and precise. There's so much nuance and flavor. As somebody that loves music festivals and the most epic sound systems that have ever been created, this is on that caliber to me, because the way that it can transfer the feeling, the emotion, the vibration directly into our skeletal system and on a cellular level.
Yeah, there's like definitely something there with having every cell in your body be within the same frequency, like bringing it all together, like creating a whole in alignment with a single frequency, like moving through frequencies and all of that. Like it's like a wholly embodied experience. It's like something you can't necessarily get with headphones. If you've been to a music festival and stood in front of the subs and the loudspeakers, like you've had that experience as well, but you risk blowing your ears out. It's fun until you have hearing loss, and like this is a way to have a similar experience without that same risk, and really to a much greater degree. It's truly penetrating every cell of your body. This it takes a lot of air movement to vibrate through your entire body, but if you're on a surface that's vibrating, like it's very easily transferred via transduction, which is the underlying technology of these things is called a tactile transducer. And as you mentioned before, just like the precision and like the responsiveness and how in alignment the frequencies are, it's like really important to take into consideration what type of tactile transducers you're using, because similar to like a speaker, you can go to Dollar Tree and buy some earbuds and they're going to sound a lot different than AirPod Pros, so there's a level of engineering and precision and just general fidelity that comes from using the best equipment. And that's kind of been my mission, is like in order to create something as immersive as possible, it needs to feel like as it's intended. And when you have that experience, it's in sync. It's really beautiful.
I love that, man. It reminds me of Sonos. Their core philosophy on the engineering side is that we don't want anyone to know that it's coming from a speaker. If a violin's playing, we want to hear the violin and only feel the violin. And I feel like you've done such an incredible job with these beds of testing so many different ways that these can come together to actually create such a high fidelity experience. And do you want to talk about some of the origin here? Like what got you into this whole concept?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting story because there were a lot of concurrent things that were happening in my life that led me down this path, and it was never really my intention to go down it in the first place. Like if you would have told me 4 or 5 years ago, you're going to be building and selling sound therapy beds, I would have been like, you're crazy. Like I'm working a tech job. That said, like in the beginning of 2020, I had experienced ketamine therapy. And during that ketamine therapy, like I very quickly ascertained and learned like the power of music as how it plays into our experience. Because when you're in a therapeutic ketamine session, the music you're listening to really paints the experience. It, like, each individual note changes your entire perception of reality. The portals you go through within a K-hole, the realms, the experiences, the feelings that each individual note brings up. It was a very visceral experience of the power of music, and I experimented with different music, and some experiences were not so great. It's like, if the song or music that you're playing, the playlist, is not high vibration, like, your journey is not high vibration, and it's like, whoa, there's something here. So experimenting with that, like, I happened upon this track called the Igor by Light Code, which is, I played it for you.
Oh,
I play it
yeah.
all the time. It's like my favorite ambient sound healing track, and like, it's like an hour-long mix. It was perfect for ketamine therapy. Like, just a beautiful journey, and like all these tones, and like that song for me, like that mix, like, it made the concept of sound healing real, as opposed to just like a woo-woo, I'm gonna lay on the ground and listen to sound bowls. Like, but when I listened to that, within that experience, I was like, oh, something's happening here. Like, something's changing. And not too long after that, I encountered a man who had a vibroacoustic device, this biohacking thing, and I tried it out, and I was like, wait a minute. I can feel this as a physical level, because, like, intuitively, like, listening to a song, and when they talk about sound healing, it's like these tones are affecting your chakras, right? And I'm imagining, like, you're wearing headphones, and it's like, how exactly is this vibration in my headphones doing anything right here?
Just trapped up here in this kind of
like,
space with
it's
this
just,
one
it's
interpretation.
not powerful enough. Like, sure, on like a cerebral mental level, it can have an effect, but like on a physical level, like from a physics-based approach, like, there's no actual vibration in the chakra. Like, if this is the resonant frequency of this chakra, if that's the true thing, then like, wouldn't you want to resonate that chakra at that frequency? So when I encountered these like vibroacoustic devices, it was like mind-blowing for me. I was like, whoa, like, I can feel the music in a whole new dimension, like literally like another dimension. And so I put two and two together, like, man, if I did ketamine therapy with one of these devices, that'd be pretty cool. And I imagine, like, the experience would be amplified to a degree, like, that would be amazing. And like, I was like, I have to do this. And I looked around at getting like vibroacoustic devices. I pre-ordered an Opus sound bed, as many people have. And one of the things was they made a really cool device. There was issues with it getting delivered, and I was like somewhat willing to wait, but probably not 3 years. But what I learned is you couldn't play your own music through it. And I was like, I have to listen to this track. So like, this device is not for me. If you could only play a certain thing, I was like, this is the track that I want to experience. Like, so I looked at some other devices. I got to try some. They were really cool. But, one of the things that I was really diving into at that time was like, if like there's a sound healing frequency that's 528 hertz, like, can you actually get that through a vibroacoustic device? And the answer is like, no, because typically they're 200 hertz and below. And I've learned a lot more since then about frequencies and vibration. I was like, as you go up in frequency, your ability to perceive it physically goes down. So as a felt experience, it's really not as potent as like a 40 hertz, 528 hertz. But I was like, I want to feel 528 hertz in my body. So I started just doing tons of research and like researching different products, and just coming to the conclusion that like the experience I want is that it needs to be very powerful. It needs to truly vibrate my whole body. Like, I'm a sucker for like intensity, and like I just was like, if it doesn't feel like I'm at the front row of Tomorrowland in front of a massive stack of subwoofers, then it's not for me.
Yeah.
So like I wanted it to be strong, and then the other thing was like I wanted the ability to adjust frequencies up and down and like play with these higher frequencies and have this experience. And you know, most importantly, I wanted to play my own music. And you know, after doing lots of research and like nothing really checking the boxes, I set out to make my own. And I did have like some help along the way, of course. Like my friend of mine, Mateo, had built a sound bed pretty early on, and you know, he was very supportive and like saying like, yo, like check out what I have, take a look at it, reverse engineer it, you know, whatever. So you can build one like it. And so that's what I did. And like I just, you know, I looked at what he had and I was like, okay, like what can be improved? You know, he was using these bass shakers, and I was like, okay, what if I use like more expensive, higher quality, high fidelity transducers with greater frequency range? And so that's what I did. And that's like the basics of how I got started. And there's a whole lot of iterations and lessons and everything else to where I am today. Like, you know, the first one I built, if I had it, you know, I would be like, yo, like this is so much better now. You know, like what is this?
It should be.
Yeah. But yeah, that's how it started. And I guess the ultimate question here is, did I have the experience with the track, with the ketamine therapy, and was it absolutely mind-blowing? Yeah. Yeah, it was incredible, bro. And like that just kind of cemented, you know, this whole thing. Like this was transcendent. Like the what it opened up to me, like the physical vibrations moving through my body and like feeling tension and all of this just melt away and relax as these frequencies played through me. And like as my visual field in this portal world of ketamine that you're in when you're in a K-hole, like feeling things open and release, and then like having like the visionary experience of that like happening in real time, like going from like a dark place as this energy moves through and then opening up to like a portal of light, like incredible. And it was just like, whoa, like this is like real, like this is a felt physical experience. And like it's undeniable, which makes it so cool. It's like it's a physics-based approach to like shifting our physical body, our consciousness, etc. Because like the body is the mind is the body ultimately, and like it's a really awesome tool. And so that's how I got into it, and it's just kind of grown from there, and I've learned so much, and it's been a blessing really. And you know, like as I said earlier, like it wasn't really ever my intention to get into a business with it, but like I made this and then showed it to friends, and then friends were like, yo, like build me one too. My friend Cam, who helps build me them now, like he was like my first customer, if you will, and he was like, yo, I'll pay for the parts and take you to see Odessa. Yeah. And that's how it all got started, is like I built a second bed for him and I went and see Odessa. And then like another buddy, Yannick, was like, yo, I have this healing studio, can you build me 3? And then just kept showing it. And then like the next thing that happened was I got invited to like a lot of parties for some reason. I was like, wow, I'm really popular now. But yo, can you bring the bed? I'm like, yeah. Which was great. It was really awesome. And just being able to share that and get it out to people. And, you know, after a while I realized like, oh, like I actually have something here that I can share. And, you know, I didn't quit my day job, you know, but it just, you know, let it organically grow into what it is now.
Beautiful. And my first experience was on Cam's bed. about 2 years ago. And it was so profound. I mean, I was giddy. It was like being on the best roller coaster ride experience that I'd ever been on. And it was also a ketamine assisted experience. And you don't need something like any of these entheogens or ketamine in particular, but one of the things that it does allow is it relaxes the body to get into the theta state, I believe, a lot easier. So it's kind of like a slip in. And so that just turns off the defense mechanisms in the body. And so being in an environment like this, it really feels like a portal, feels like a spaceship.
Yeah.
And it was such a profound and incredible experience for me. I mean, I think the neighbors probably heard me. I was like screaming so loud. It was so giddy. It was similar actually to jumping out of an airplane.
Yeah.
Very similar sensation. And to find that, you created this portal, you created this device that can link and sync with the body. And I also realized at that point, because Cam was driving it, he was DJing, and he took me on like a 30-minute journey, bro. It was amazing. And I realized that this is a very powerful tool, and it needs to be used with wisdom and compassion, because just like you mentioned with the frequencies, whatever it is that's coming through is going to be amplified a lot. So if it's incoherence, if it's dissonance, that's going to be felt in the body, just like with cymatics when we're looking at the plates and the frequencies come through, and it literally shows the shape information of those frequencies, because they're not a 2D line, they're multidimensional resonances that are emanating. And so it's an amazing tool, bro. And when it's done with the harmony, when it's done with the, the ecstatic. For example, if somebody wants to really like blast off and have that like front stage of the concert right in front of the speakers experience that you're describing, it's available. And literally 5 minutes later, you can drop into the deepest meditation experience of your life.
Yeah, yeah.
Incredible.
It's incredible. Yeah, and it's really important to note, like, as you mentioned, like the dissonance and the distortion, like, that's important. Like, this is a powerful tool, and you can put anything into it, and it really takes discernment to understand that, like, I only want good vibrations through this. I'm not going to be laying on this playing heavily distorted death metal, with lyrics about terrible things. Like, I don't want that imprinted in my body, because like it's what it's gonna do, So like I very, very discerning on what music I play, and like I've put together a playlist of amazing music, and that's what I do, and it works.
And you're hitting on something really important, because this is an amplifier of what already is.
Exactly.
And so noticing that, it's like, well, I'm not going to play death metal on the bed. Well, then the question is, why would I ever be playing death metal? Right?
Exactly. Yeah. Because like once you have the amplified experience and you recognize what's happening, like that that's happening subtly all the time. So it same thing with like sound healing is like, you might not have a big experience like in like a typical sound healing space, but like if you amplify that and you're like, whoa, then you just go backwards. So like, okay, there's so much value in the subtle as well. Like you don't necessarily need to have the hugely amplified experience, but what the hugely amplified experience gives you is the knowledge that like the subtle's there. Yeah.
Love that, bro.
Yeah, and so just take that back into everyday life. Just, you don't need to be macrodosing every day, It's like, there's a little microdose of this, a little microdose of that, and just realize that like that stuff adds up.
Yes.
So it's been an excellent tool for that as well. Just being more in tune with my body, bringing it into coherence, and then bringing that coherence out into everyday life.
Yeah, and the way that you just described that, it's so clear that everything that I'm putting into my body, everything that I'm emanating through my body is so important. It's infinitely important. And yet, I might have something with a bunch of sugar in it, like a donut, and just think, oh, it's just a donut. Well, sure, if it's a microdose of a donut, not a big deal. But if I'm macrodosing donuts every day, like what's happening inside?
Yeah, maybe once every couple of years, donut macrodose. It's a hermetic stressor, as they call it, like an ice bath.
Okay. What is your take on ice baths?
My take on ice baths? I think that they're good as a hermetic stressor, which is like you're intentionally stressing the body to an elevated degree so that your body bounces back and has more resilience. With that said, like, it's probably not good to put your body under intense stress every day. Like, I think, an ice bath once a week, once every 2 weeks, maybe 3 times a week even, that might be on the higher end, but, I wouldn't be doing 10 minutes ice baths every day. It's like you're putting your body through an extreme amount of stress, and, your body needs to be able to bounce back from it, and that takes resources and energy. And if you're just constantly putting yourself in high stress situations, you're not really promoting the recovery you're seeking in the first place. So I think they have a lot of value. Like, ice baths are great, just again with moderation.
Probably same with sauna.
Sauna, yeah, I think with sauna I think you could get away with doing that every day. I don't think it's as stressful as an ice bath. And again, it depends. It's like dosage matters. Like 20 minutes in a sauna every day, probably very good for you. An hour in a sauna every day, probably not very good for you.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, and you have to keep in mind you got to replenish all these minerals and stay hydrated and all that. But I think in terms of like a shock to your body, like a sauna is, most anybody can do 20 minutes in a sauna.
Right.
Not many people can do 20 minutes in an ice bath. Like,
not when it's 37 degrees.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it's much more extreme. So I think that plays a role into it.
There's something else too. I'm in cell core detox right now, working with Megan Perkins, Rooted Regeneration. She's amazing. Oh my goodness. And I'm on month 2, about 7 weeks in. So we're at the parasite phase right now. And so what I've noticed, there's binders that I'm taking, and they're helping to actually bind all the toxins that are being released, right? Because as these parasites are dying, I used to have fish tanks for like 15 years. I made these beautiful saltwater fish tanks. Loved it. I should do that again. It feels really inspiring.
I want to see one of these.
Oh yeah. And at one point I had a clam in there, this blue clam that was just gorgeous. And I had it for like 1.5 years, but then it passed away. And when it died, it turned everything into this purple coralline algae because the amount of calcium that it was holding and released into the water. And in 90 gallons plus the sump tank, so maybe 115 gallons of total water volume, it changed those parameters dramatically. And so it shifted my mind to realize that, if the snow globe hasn't been shaken, we don't know what's actually in there. And internally, my snow globe is being shaken like crazy right now. And it feels so good. So things like sauna, where, this is our biggest elimination pathway, is through the skin. Right? And so the sauna helping to flush, being out on Joe's property and swinging the axes and laying, these railroad ties down to build, more beautiful Zen garden, for example. It felt so good as the internal landscape is processing all of these things that it hasn't had to deal with. Because my whole life I hadn't done any real detoxing. And now that I am, dude, there's waves of fatigue that come through. And it's wild. It's not for the faint of heart, but yet it's probably for all of us because we're living in more and more toxicity. And so just feeling into the energy of the cold is this contractive kind of feeling. So we're doing cold plunges out there too. And it feels really alivening, but it's like tightening up. It tightens the skin so it doesn't actually breathe as much, or the pores, shall I say. And then a sauna, right? It's opening everything. It's causing us to breathe more. Yes, the heart rate is increasing and the sweat. So we're actually processing more water through the body, and it's taking so many of these toxins. I feel, this is all just my, thoughts right now of my real lived experience. It feels as if it's helping to eliminate so many of those toxins that are being built up from macrodosing Cheetos for a lot of my life, and this processed food and glyphosates and like all these things where we didn't have to eat organic when everything was organic 20, 30 years ago, probably more like 50, 60 years ago. But like our parents, for example, the whole idea of, it needs to be organic. That didn't exist when the soil actually had nutrients, right?
Yeah, I could go down a whole rabbit hole on that. It's like, I'll keep it very brief, but when you look at inflation numbers, and like it's based on the dozen eggs or whatever, it's like you're comparing like from 100 years ago, a dozen pasture-raised, organic, free-range eggs to like the grocery store slop, like caged 12 dozen eggs. And it's like, well, so the price has only gone up 10 times, but it's like, when you compare that to like the actual like $9 dozen of healthy eggs, you're like, oh no, actually, like in terms of buying power, it's really gone down, like way more. It's like, it's harder to eat organic, unfortunately. And I just feel like those numbers are obfuscated, and it's a whole, well, it could be a different conversation.
Of course. And first principles physics. That's one of the things that I love about what you distilled this down into is, first principle is, what do our shirts say?
If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration.
Oh.
My man Nikolai Tesla.
Yeah. The genius on the back of his creativity and him being in a coherent state with his mind, body, and soul, channeled through so many brilliant inventions. I mean, the AC motor, like we literally have all of these things because of this man's genius, and yet Edison was able to commercialize, right? And so through time, because of the education system, they put the focus and emphasis on Edison because that's what was valued in society. And I feel like now we're shifting back to a Nikola Tesla style society where we actually are vibrating higher. We're coming together. We're finding our unique essence within ourself and our soul. And so tools like this to be able to help me to actually know myself even better, to have an even cleaner consciousness and, not have so many locked up stores of trauma and, stress inside the body. Dude, amazing.
Yeah. Like circling back to your detox there, like as you're detoxing, vibration is an excellent tool for detoxing. Like you're literally shaking things loose.
Yeah.
And if you're using the binders and all of that, like you're flushing it out, like it's a great what's the word, complement, right? Like a complementary treatment you can use alongside it. That's very helpful.
Right, like the lymphatic system.
Exactly.
It doesn't pump, and so that's one of the reasons why rebounders are so helpful, because it's just causing us to vibrate and move all of these things that would be stuck otherwise.
Exactly. And then another thing you touched on there is this, like your subjective experience. I've just been thinking a lot about that lately. Does this, for example, like subjectively, how did you feel after I played that song for you?
The one right here before we hopped on?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Just bliss, like zen. My body felt aligned. It felt like, it was probably a 4 or 5 minute journey, and it felt equivalent to about 30 minutes of me meditating with some high frequencies, playing. Like that kind of level of okay, finally getting to a state of relaxation. Because at first, when it was coming on, I was giddy and I was excited because it's like the roller coaster of it. It feels magical.
Yeah.
And then I dropped in and was able to just find that state of Zen within. And it's so reparative and restorative.
Yeah. Yeah. The key point I want to touch on here is just how it made you feel.
Oh, really good.
Exactly. And I think that's lost on a lot of people is that like you should be doing things that are restorative and make you feel good. Not just like quick dopamine hits and crashes, but like things that like actually raise your vibration, help you vibrate higher. Because like at the end of the day, our subjective experience is our experience. It is our life. Like there's so many studies are done on like the placebo effect. If you think something's helping you, if you have the feeling that this is for your own betterment or the opposite, it's true.
Yep.
It's true. So if I can give someone an experience where they feel bliss and excitement and joy, then like I've literally shifted someone's reality. Literally. And then that will transfer. If someone who's in that state of vibration, when they're in joy, like their body's going to be more in alignment. The healing will happen naturally. There's no need for like a deep scientific thesis of what's necessarily going on. Right? It's like you feel better. And when you feel better, you are better, because our subjective reality is reality. There's nothing outside of that. Like that's the power of belief. So if I can like change your beliefs with a song, your perception of reality, like that's fucking powerful. And like, this is so fucking cool. Like it makes me super excited, to know that like it's really that simple. It's like that's it. Like your subjective reality is reality, and like it's a mindset thing, but it's also like an embodied part as well. It's like if you're in pain, if you're it's like that's going to paint your reality. So
100%. And it's bringing up, when I have health, I've got a million problems. When I don't have my health, I have one.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, okay, do you want to tell us a little bit more about what you have coming up in the future and how you feel everything integrating and coalescing into life, and potentially for our listeners?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like part of what I'm working on right now, and maybe by the time this airs, like I've connected with someone who invented a new type of tactile transducer.
Let's grow.
And I've been working with him to custom build transducers for my beds. And I've already, I've made it my mission from the beginning to use the absolute best equipment. Like I want it to be the best, because what's the point otherwise? Like there's tons of people out here making things that aren't the best, and like I don't want to compete in that playing, like it's a race to the bottom. It's like not my lane, like because I want the best for myself, and I want the best for anyone else who works with me. So that being said, like I've been using the best, and now there's something better. And so when this guy reached out to me and it's like, yo, I have something better, I'm like,
prove it.
Yeah, first of all, prove it. And, I got samples sent over, and then like, if it's better, and I can't go about my life knowing there's something better and still believing that I'm doing the best thing. So kind of a no-brainer. It's like, okay, like this is a new thing. It's even better. This is really, really, really good. But every little bit matters. So, this new transducer that I'm cooking up is, it's It uses like a new technology called reactive suspension, and it just I don't have complete technical details on how to explain it very well, but the short of it is that it's more reactive. There's a magnet. Let's work our way backwards. Actually, let's work our way backwards. What is a transducer?
There you go.
Yeah. So I'll start by explaining what a speaker is,
Okay.
because everyone knows what a speaker is, and if you've seen a speaker, there's a cone, and behind that cone there's a magnet, and then within that magnet there's a little piece of metal, like wire, that's called a voice coil. And when you have audio signal, it goes through that voice coil and creates a magnetic field based on the electrical signals of the frequencies of the music, and that causes the magnet to oscillate with the frequencies. And that magnet is glued to a cone. So as it's oscillating, it's moving this cone, and the cone is vibrating the air. It's moving the air, it's vibrating. That goes to our ears. The cone has around it, like I can't remember the word, but like a soft material that's very flexible compared to the speaker box, that allows it to move freely.
The surround.
Yeah, it allows it to move freely so that the speaker cone is decoupled from the box, because the aim here is not to vibrate the box. It's to vibrate the cone, to vibrate the air, because you don't want a noisy vibrating box. So a transducer is essentially the same thing. And instead of trying to vibrate the cone to vibrate the air, we're going to vibrate the whole box, right? So, the magnet that's oscillating is tied to the surface of the bed via mounting the transducer to it. So that's like the simple, what is a transducer? It's essentially a speaker with big magnets. Like imagine you're thinking of like subwoofer size magnets, very powerful, because, it takes a lot of energy to move physical objects, especially like the entire human body and the top of a bed. So very powerful. These transducers, there's 4 of them that are running 150 watts each, so 600 watts. Like a 600 watt sound system is really freaking loud, but like it takes a lot more energy to move a physical object. So that's like an explanation of what a transducer is. Since they're using these heavy magnets, they can be kind of slow. It can be kind of sluggish depending on the quality of it. Yeah, because...
So the voice coil stays light. So the magnet moves, the voice coil on a speaker would then transfer to the cone, and the precision of how it can vibrate depends on how much energy is going through relative to the weight of the magnet, right? And the movement.
Yeah, and also like how reactive the magnet is to the changes in the voice coil. If it's going like this and the signal's changing, is the magnet keeping up with the signal, or is it lagging behind? Is the mass of the magnet from being shifted this way continuing to have it go this way when the signal's going back that way? So that's essentially like, okay, how, we need to make it precise as possible. Like it needs to be perfectly in sync to reproduce the frequencies. And like some transducers, the magnet will, with a strong signal, will come up against, it's like a piston almost. So like, this magnet moves up and down the piston, but if you go all the way top and there's a stoppage here, it'll slam into it. Like, that's how they stop it, so that the energy can shift to the opposite direction to create this vibration. So like that piston model can create like very strong like thumps as it hits the thing, but also it needs to shift directions again the opposite way. So like it's not as like reactive to transient base signal. So like subtle changes, if it's just going up and down like this, but like what if you were able to suspend the magnet like this so that it moves freely up and down without hitting the end of a piston. So that way like subtle changes in the bass happen as it's moving up and down. So yeah, that's what I'm cooking up. And you just had to experience that in this bed, and like, you know, I think as you mentioned, there's a lot of subtleties in that track, and like you picked up on that, right?
Yeah. So there's a real sweet spot in engineering for this purpose. The utility here is not to create a concert environment, you know, with a huge speaker array. It's to reproduce the most accurate and precise sound through the feeling, and also pack the highest punch that is possible with that precision.
Yeah, without introducing distortion or any other kind of, you know, signal interference. You know, there's plenty of devices out there that are much cheaper that do introduce distortion, and like you might not pick up on it if you haven't had an experience with something better. You know, it's like, it's tough to know. It's like, oh, this is really good, but like it's the best thing you've experienced. You don't know that there's something better. So I, unfortunately, or fortunately more so, I know. So like I can't go back.
Yeah.
And yeah, once you pick up on those subtleties, you realize, as we mentioned before, those subtleties exist everywhere.
Yes.
And like in an amplified experience, like those subtleties matter too, even if you know, aren't attuned to them. So, you know, it's my mission to like make sure things are in attunement, so there's a coherent experience.
So that we, as humans, can actually live a more attuned life.
Yeah. And then like, I guess the other thing I would love to talk to you about, and is this thing called a Roxiva.
Let's go, bro.
Yeah. And you've experienced this before.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'd love to hear, what's your subjective experience of the Roxiva? And I can kind of explain what it is.
Okay. So independent of the bed, the Roxiva light it's incredible. It's a constellation of LEDs that are flickering at different rates and color temperatures. And so when the eyes are closed, there's this whole fractal geometry portal that starts to show up, dance, move, and become this experiential field, this place to interact. And this is with zero substances. This is just straight up being right under the light and it beaming through, which I also feel it connects to our first eye, our pineal gland, and it's just activating some of that fractal geometric nature of reality in the same way as we experience with cymatics, that there's actually a template. There's a fingerprint, so to speak, for each frequency. And especially there's every micro frequency that's out there. And so this is doing with light a very similar thing that you're doing here, vibroacoustically with the beds.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's known as a stroboscopic or hypnagogic light. This device is called a Roxiva. They're made in the UK, and they actually produce music along with these light frequencies. So you can put it with the bed, and then you have this whole immersive experience of light, sound, and vibration. You know, it kind of takes that Nikola Tesla quote and like makes it a very visceral experience, because you're like, whoa, like this, there's something else here. It's, in my experience and many others, it's the closest thing to a psychedelic experience outside of taking in entheogen.
100%.
Yeah, which is really cool. And like the basic science of it, it's really just pulsed light. You know, it's when our eyes are closed, there's still light coming through, and it's pulsing at different frequencies, and still hitting our optic nerve and going to our brain. And like, their optic nerve is one of the most resource intensive brain regions there is, right? Like there's a lot of processing power that goes into that.
I wonder why.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so has a strong influence on our perception of reality. And one of the things that our brain likes to do is when it senses patterns, it tries to emulate them to understand them. And that's true for binaural beats. You know, it's like, I guess to take a step back, our brain operates at different wave states. You mentioned the theta state earlier. There's delta, it's like 1 to 4 hertz, then theta state, and then you've got your alpha and your beta. As you go up, you go into gamma, which like a gamma state is typically the state you're in when you're on entheogens. It's like a heightened state of consciousness. It's what, you know, a very experienced meditator can achieve with years of practice, is to get into a gamma state. And via brainwave entrainment, we can reach those states with like the mere suggestion by these external physics-based approaches, whether they're binaural beats or isochronic tones or stroboscopic light. And stroboscopic light, in my experience, and I think it's, you know, scientifically proven, although I don't have the paper in front of me, but it's definitely, if not the most, like one of the most powerful forms of entrainment. Like the experience of just a couple pulse light, within seconds, you're having an experience. So what this is doing is it's creating these pulse light patterns, whether it can take you into 40 hertz gamma state virtually instantaneously.
Is the pattern of the light itself creating that frequency in the brain? So it would be taking us to 40 hertz?
Yeah, so imagine like you can entrain 40 hertz with a single bulb, because it's just the pulse. So this device, it has 16 bulbs, but there's 4 groups. So there's just 4 sets of 4. And what it's able to do with that is to entrain different brainwave states simultaneously. So you could have one group pulsing at 40 hertz and another group pulsing at 7 hertz. And then you can have your brain, and which is really interesting, that your brain can actually operate in multiple frequency states simultaneously. Like on the surface, this is like, whoa, like how? But you know, our brain is really cool and can do cool things. So
that's the scientific term.
Yeah, that's the scientific explanation. But yeah, like you know, it can be operating at multiple frequencies, and so if you're training, you know, a 7 hertz here and a 40 hertz here, it creates unique brain states. You know, you can play around with these frequencies, and it can take you to places beyond ordinary consciousness via light entrainment. And like, what's really cool about this device is they're producing music along with it, and you know, a lot of it's produced to work specifically with vibroacoustic beds. So there's the vibration frequency, like they can vibrate at 40 hertz while they're flickering at 40 hertz. And they can move in with isochronic tones, so like something like a 3 hertz, which you're not going to get from like a normal speaker or headphones. Is too low. You can do it by binaurals, or you can do it through an isochronic tone. So you can have that like audio entrainment and visual entrainment, and what you get is something called AVE, which is audio visual entrainment. And you know, I like to call it AVVE because you got audio visual vibrational entrainment.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. Like it's pretty mind blowing. And they create these journeys, so it's not just like a pure 40 hertz experience where you're just like here, but you know, you're ebbing and flowing and moving out of different frequency states, and it creates novelty, and our brain likes novelty. Like the novelty is what generates the awe and the wonder. And as I mentioned before, like our subjective experience is our experience.
Yep.
And if you lay on this bed and you play a pure 40 hertz, there's tons of science out there on how 40 hertz can help you with this, that, and this thing. But it's boring as hell. Like you're gonna get up and you're like, man, like I was just buzzing for 30 minutes straight. Like I don't really feel any different.
Maybe in the body, but not emotionally.
Yeah, emotionally. Yeah, and I think that's half of it. I think that's half of it. Like it's very important. And like, how do we take that 40 hertz and weave it into a journey that's transformative?
Mm.
Because then you're hitting both. And you come out of it like, whoa, I just had an experience and I know that this scientifically was working in the background and I feel different. And then you take that energy into your day. There's a big difference there. Mm. And like with that, when you have that experience, you don't even need the power of suggestion. With someone telling you, hey, 40 hertz is gonna make you do this, it's gonna help your bones. Like, you can come out of it with a changed consciousness and be like, something changed and I can feel it. Mm. And you add in the power of suggestion, it's even more powerful.
Wow. And I've had, several journeys with the Roxiva and the bed, and they're profound. But hearing it through this lens, getting to understand more of the physics and the interconnective nature, wow, I can't wait for the next time that I actually get to try this. And I'm just envisioning, I need to just get a bed from you, bro. Like, I need
in time.
Yeah, in time. We need to do this because I'm feeling into my own meditation practice and how supportive it is, unassisted. And the assisted meditations, and also just the fun of being able to bring friends onto the journey and to just blow their minds and their hearts wide open. Mm-hmm. It's so juicy. It's so good.
Yeah, I mean, there's a definite split between how much I use it for meditation and how much I use it for invigoration. Right? Like, there's the ambient, relaxing, like even with the light, there's journeys with that where it's like more heightened state of meditation. And then there's journeys that are
beats and breath.
We'll get to that also. Like, and there's like the roller coaster rides, and then beats and breath. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Like those guys are the homies.
Yes.
Chris and Johnny. So they have this app called Beats and Breath. It's really epic. They create breathwork tracks with beats in the background, like 808s.
Well, and Johnny Buffalo is, for me, he's the most talented beatbox, like vocal creationeer on the planet.
Yeah.
And so this is him cooking up, like literally in the lab, making the digital beats, and he uses his own, expression in there. And Chris August is incredible on the breath work and guiding us into this place and this state. And so one of the tracks, which one was it called? The one for the NFL players? It's like the arena.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, you can find it on the Beats and Breath app. And it is so powerful. One of those triumphant.
Yeah, it's a journey. It's not just breath. It's like there's a crescendo, there's a dive deep, there's a feeling and a release. And like that's what I just want to keep reiterating. Like that subjective, like I had an experience is so important.
Yes.
Anybody could do like 40 rounds of breath work and you could know that it's beneficial, but like doing beats and breath and doing these rounds with this music and like just the whole experience of it, it's a whole nother level. And you add the bed to it and you're like, these beats come through and you're just like, and you're breathing out and then like the bass hits and you're on the breath hold and like you feel all this tingling energy in your body and then like your body is literally vibrating from that and then the vibration in the bed is amplifying it. And it's just incredible.
Incredible. And that brings us to High Vibe, where we had all 6 beds set up and all of us rocking to the beats and breath, literally doing the breath work, linked and synced. And so I was just feeling into this vision of so many different retreat and festival offerings where this kind of an experience would be so supportive. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and there's definite beauty in like having a shared experience with people. It's one thing I really love doing is like having two people play the same song or the same Roxiva session as opposed to something different, because like you're tuning to this frequency, but then if you tune another person to this frequency, they can relate on that frequency. And it's like another layer of relation. Like you had a shared experience with someone, even if you weren't like physically staring at each other, you're both in it, but you come out of it like in coherence.
That's right.
And the breath work you did, like all 6 of you, like it was special to like see all of you come out and like talk about that, and just there's like a level of camaraderie, like a shared journey, like just it was cool to witness.
Yeah, bro. Thank you for facilitating that incredible experience. Yeah. Are you planning on more festivals in the future and creating sanctuaries like the Zenthesia Incredible Lounge?
I would love to. Yeah, I think I need to work through how to make that like a viable thing financially.
This is it. If you're doing a festival, you can actually sponsor Zenthesia to come out and create the most incredible sanctuary for people. Imagine the journey, the roller coaster that people are going on through the story arc, which is the festival experience, and how ecstatic, and then how, introspective, and the emotions, the journeys, because we held space for a lot of people. And hundreds, in fact, hundreds of people came through and had experiences of being able to drop back into themselves, to actually be heard, to be received, to have a place that was low key. And that's the other part that's so cool about this, is I could have an incredibly ecstatic experience right next to somebody else who's just on a frequency meditating in complete zen. So we have this portal that opens up, and if you have a festival and you want to bring this home, boom, Zenthesia is the place.
Would love to. Yeah, we went in the high vibe, like really is like I approached it as like, how can I be of service to this festival? And the making the money back was kind of an afterthought, and like I paid to be there. So like financially it was not a great decision, because like I wasn't like trying to sell anything. I was really just like there to hold space for people and to really create epic experiences, whether those were invigorating, awe and wonder, or super relaxing and introverted. Because like that's what I need in a festival, honestly. Like you have these crescendos, these high highs, and like sometimes you're just like, man, I want to shut my eyes and go into my own world and just melt. And I created that space. It was awesome, and it was great because I got to use it too. Right?
100%.
Yeah. So I definitely look forward to doing more events like that. And even if that's just my form of philanthropy, if I have the ability and the resources to do that, like I'd love to keep doing it. And then outside of that, like I'll do other things to maintain a business and bring these to wellness centers and all these other things that can financially support the mission.
Yes.
But the mission ultimately is for people, to help people vibrate higher, baby.
Absolutely. And you know, when we threw the Conscious Nightlife experiences, Ascend Conscious Nightlife in Dallas, we brought up 2 of your beds and connected them to the DJ deck, and Cam was DJing. And that was the coolest experience, to be able to go from ecstatic dancing or go from a Zen den to then drop in and feel literally the same music, the entire energy of the experience in an even more intense and ceremonial way.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm a loss for words, but yeah, it's really awesome. And it gives you a space to still be in the energy, you know, and to take that into, as you said, like a more ceremonial, more inward, like fully embodied, like stillness. So I like that concept. I want to do more of that. It's really fun. If I could go to a show and be like, yo, I'm just gonna lay down for a minute, my legs are tired, and like just immerse myself in the music, I'd be there.
These beds ought to be at the front row of every music festival, period, so people can drop in and portal and come back to center, come back to home in a blissful and or ecstatic way.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Okay, so if you were to give one piece of advice to your 16-year-old self, with all the wisdom that you've accrued through this journey of this incarnation, what is it that's most alive for you right now?
I think what comes back to me is amor fati. And I hopefully don't butcher the quote or the translation, but it's like everything that happens in life, it's love your fate is really the thing. But like it's like everything that happens, good or bad, happens for your greatest good. For a reason, you know? So just knowing that, you know, at 16, like there was ups and downs, just like at any other time of life. And I at that time, like I had no idea that I'd be where I am now. And, you know, if I could just tell myself then, like, everything's gonna be okay. Trust the process. Amor fati, just like love life for the sake of life and trust everything's gonna work out. I feel like that would have been a little easier. Yeah. A little less anxiety inducing as I was prone to at that age.
Yeah. Well, society does, one aspect of society promotes anxious style living. And what I feel like we're really ushering in with our soul fam, with our tribe, is really a different model of living that's regenerative, that's restorative, that's service first. Yeah. Much easier and more relaxed on the, not nervous system, but intelligence system that we have, this divine intelligence system that we get to drive every day, wake up after plugging back into source and just getting our energy increased and hopping on beds and going into portals and being with our awesome friends. And, like, there's so much juice and nectar in this life. So, bro, thank you so much for bringing your wisdom, your joy, your passion, your smile, everything, dude. How can people get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with Zenthesia at Zenthesia on Instagram, zenthesia.com. You can find me on Instagram at Dave McCusker 888. And where else can you find me? Dave at zenthesia.com if you want to send me an email. And probably find me at like some festivals and concerts, like just feeling the sound. Like I love this, I love the beds, and I love the camaraderie of like being in the energy of the crowd. And I think there's definitely a place for both. And like I really am excited to see you at another high vibe, whatever that is.
Oh yeah.
So maybe I'll find you there too.
That's awesome. And for anybody that's local here in Austin, that is where Dave McCusker is based. And would there be an opportunity for somebody to come and experience the beds personally? Oh
yeah, for sure. Just hit me up. We'll arrange a time, make it happen right here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Beautiful, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
What a blast. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning all the way to the end. You are one of the rare people on this planet who actually has the follow through, the discipline, and the foresight to know that there are gems and nuggets that are in here all the way to the end. So thank you for being and beaming who you are, and may the source be with you. Peace and love.